Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my awesome special guest here who hasn't been on any of the shows before, but she's here and maybe she'll come on other ones later because of how much fun we'll have on this one. But please welcome Molly Souza. How you doing, Molly?
I'm doing so well, enjoying a kind of blustery, hot, wet day in Atlanta. Good day
Ooh,
to talk about horror movies.
ooh, blistering hot. That sounds fantastic. It's blistering hot here in Virginia, so I feel you.
Is it
Um,
also wet though? Because that's the special southern charm that we have.
It
We're
it's been wet like the last
just
week or so before, but like it's kind of calmed down. It's just mainly humid and nasty. I don't know.
yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
what we're dealing with too.
Yeah, I'm not liking it as much, but what can you do? I've been inside anyway, so it's all good. Um, but we're here to talk a little bit about a movie, as you can see behind me, Werewolf Rising, where I was not I didn't know anything about it. I saw Werewolf Rising on Tubi, and I knew that was one I wanted to do. And when I asked Molly to come on the show, I was just like, let's do this one. It's a werewolf movie. We hadn't done a werewolf movie in a bit. Let's do one. And she was like, sure. And we were here to talk about it. And we got some things to discuss. Hold on one second, please. Ugh. My door busted open.
Was
So
it a werewolf on the other
I
side?
hope not,
Yeah, that's
because they would normally just bust through like they did in this
truly.
movie. We'll talk about that scene in a little bit. I want to give a little background about this movie. It was it came out in 2014. It's probably maybe made in 2013 or so. It was directed and written by BC-14, or as he is known in the movie as BC-Fertney. And he is a crazy director. Um, he's done some great movies and some terrible movies. And we have reviewed Krampus versus Bigfoot, which is part of his whole animation. I think it was lockdown COVID stuff where
Mhm.
he was just bored and he just started making these crazy what are they called?
Like a
Uh
satirical almost, like a
did you check any of them out? Did you watch like
well, I only the one that really caught my eye was the Trump versus the
I've seen
Illuminati.
it. I've seen it.
And yeah, so I was curious, like who made this? What is this about? What was the reaction to this? And um, shock and appall,
Did you
which
watch it?
was no, I haven't seen it yet. I didn't even know where to
You can
begin to
watch it on
find
Tubi.
on Tubi. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to write that down for later because I am very,
Well,
very
just understand
curious.
if if you get bored halfway through or something, don't worry. Just let it go.
Turn
Because
it,
like
yeah.
yeah, turn it off because it is not. It's a silly movie, but it is not the easiest to watch. And none of his animated ones are easy to watch because what they are basically taking video game images, I guess like free video game images or something that he
Mhm.
has, and then putting them into like an animated thing. And they make no, they're all talk. They make no sense. And nothing really happens like in Krampus versus Bigfoot. There's no fight between Krampus and Bigfoot. They
Okay.
yell at each other, but that's
It's
it.
more of like an emotional battle than than a
You're
physical
giving
one.
it too much credit because it doesn't even deserve that. Like it's that terrible. But it was sort of fun because then
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, because he's got like two, like he's got, other than that one, he's got like three other ones or four other ones, five other, like he just keeps making them.
Well, that's
And
one of like the super awesome thing about the indie community is that anyone can do, you get a little bit of money, you get some willing friends, you have something to record on, iPhone, a laptop, something, and you can put together a movie. whether or not that movie is going to be good.
Well, that's true.
Up in the air, but
How
anyone can participate in just like coming up with a crazy idea and then finding a way to like birth it out onto Tubi, you know?
but this is sort of part of my problem with that, is that the market becomes very, very big,
Oh
and
yeah,
there's so many movies. So like you're going on Tubi, right? And do you sign into Tubi
I
when you do it?
do. I
Okay.
do.
So it lets you know, like, what, like, recommended ones
Yeah.
based on stuff that you watch. So if you watch enough indie horror films, they'll start recommending you different indie horror films that are similar to the ones you watch, which is great. Because like for me or my co-host for Indie Film Cafe, Paul, we will watch these crappy stinky movies that we love, and they'll give us more crappy stinky movies to love.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, actually, this movie shocked me because of the fact when I saw that it was BC-14's movie. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. This seems coherent, and the characters actually, like, like it's more than talk. There's action.
Yeah.
Like I was like, where's the BC-14 I know? Like it, like what happened, I wonder. And I know a lot of it was COVID, and he was bored, and he was like, I'm just gonna get my friends, we're gonna make these movies, we're gonna put them out on Tubi, and people are gonna be pissed because they're gonna be expecting something amazing from the titles, and then they're gonna, then they're gonna get this, stuff that I made with my friends. But this movie, Werewolf Rising, when it first starts, I was like, okay, it's got Bill Oberst Jr. in the like first 5 minutes of the movie, and I love that guy.
Well, I'm sure he's like the nicest guy ever, but without a doubt, he is the scariest man I've ever seen. Like,
So you never seen him in another movie?
I know. And then I was looking, like, he did Three from Hell, and he was in that like I think it's like an FX show, Scream Queens, from like
You're
the American Horror Story people. And I couldn't place him in either, but immediately I was hooked with like the tension of that opening scene and his haunting ass face.
yeah.
What a man, what an
he,
actor.
he was great in that. He was also really good. We saw him in a movie that we didn't find it. The movie wasn't the greatest, but
Sure.
he was amazing in it. As we always say, Bill Oberst Jr. never, but people always recognize him from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunt, or Zombie Hunt, or versus the Zombies. That's what it is. Abraham Lincoln versus the Zombies. So
Okay.
he, fights zombies. It's for the Asylum, the guys who made Sharknado.
Yeah.
And then he also is very well known for a movie called Circus of the Dead. And we didn't love that movie because it's a little too harsh, a little too like Rob Zombie torture porn kind of stuff.
Okay, sure.
Not my style, and not my co-host style. But and the director wasn't too happy that we didn't like it, but it happens.
Directors are kind of like that. I don't know if you've ever heard about artists, but they're very sensitive.
I know, and I think he was. I think he thought he was going to get a really positive review, and he did. I mean, well, we did say go watch it, because we always tell people to watch it because we're not this, the say
Everyone has
and
different
everything.
tastes. Yeah,
exactly. I could have hated this movie and you could have liked it, and we could have been like, oh my god, this is completely. And I don't know how you feel about this movie yet. We're gonna get into that. So first thoughts. Like, you hadn't seen this, I hadn't seen this movie either. So I had no idea about it. What was your first thought when you saw it?
So, well, initially, even at the ask, I feel like I don't have a lot of creature features in my horror repertoire of things that I, mention as my favorite, or even that I watch. I don't watch a lot of creature features. So I was super interested in doing this because, getting into the creature features, I wanted to see a werewolf movie. And I thought it was good. I was impressed. I was mentioning to you earlier that I thought that they got like a 2 out of 10 on IMDb, and I thought that was unfair. I thought that
I think a lot of, oh, go ahead.
No, I thought there were really strong performances, and the effects were killer. and I had fun watching it. And like I said, from that first scene, that the tension that was built just right at the opening,
Uh-huh.
that was scary shit, man. That was, I mean, not only the like the haunting face of Bill Oberst Jr., just the whole situation. I was immediately like, okay, I'm in. I want to see where this is going. And I liked that it supplied you with that right before bringing you into about like 30 minutes of like plot driven stuff, because that's
Mm-hmm.
always kind of fun in horror movies when you're like, okay, it's been 30 minutes and you have not murdered anyone. So
Exactly.
I
That's what
like
I
that
was
they
thinking.
gave it, they're like, we'll pepper in, we'll pepper in some crime, and then we'll
Well,
do the plot setup, which I was like, thank you, because now otherwise I
you
would
would
have
have
been a
been
little bored.
you would
I
have
know.
been bored if it was 30 minutes of that, then they got to
Yep.
the killing. Yeah, because I hate to say it, a lot of it, I mean, it wasn't boring. Like it
No.
wasn't like, oh my God, I want to shut this off, because it kind of made me smile a couple of times, because it tried to be like romantic and sweet, but it still felt like, an indie film
I
being,
felt so.
like
I
that.
think this set the bar for romance for me. Like, have you ever heard like girls will ask their boyfriends, like, "Would you still love me if I was a worm?" Have you ever heard that? Like, so now
No,
I've
but
my
all
new
right.
standard is like, if I was a scraggly old homeless, he's like escaped from
Yeah, it was a
jail
convict.
escapee, would you ride your four-wheeler over to come help me? Like, these
Right.
are, she was in it to win it with this like
This,
wayward homeless escapee, jail escapee.
yeah,
I
she
was
was.
I was impressed by her. She met him and she was in. It was it was immediate.
Are you saying this like the Twilight for werewolves,
It was
basically?
who maybe a
You know,
love story on par with
with that, yeah.
with that of Twilight? Possibly. I liked
So
how much she wrote for him, though. I was like, this is a confusing element. I'm sure they're going to take this somewhere, but this beautiful girl really, really wants to like be with this scary, strange junkie. And I respect that.
I could definitely respect that too. It had the writing part, because okay, so like he gets her on the we're skipping around, by the way, so it's okay, but there's no structure here. um so she, like, he comes around. Okay, first of all, before that, they are talking across the pond or whatever at each
Uh-huh.
other, right? This is the weirdest scene, though, like, to me,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you could obviously see they weren't even shooting on the same day.
No.
No. So they were like, so it was like one scene, it was shot like him saying, I want you to come over here. And then the next shot is her on the other side where it's much lighter.
I was gonna
And
say it was like a different time of day.
yes,
They
exactly. One was like complete daytime, and the other was like almost evening ish.
yeah,
And what?
yeah. No, I
Yeah,
was the audio was completely, that's what I really noticed, was it was like you could tell that there was no like room tone or something that was missing, because her, when she started talking, it sounded so distinctly different from when he was talking. But it was, maybe that was like a well-placed metaphor for like them being at different places in their lives and the transformation that they would overcome
maybe.
later.
I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Um, so then so he gets, I guess, she blows him off, but she keeps smiling. I'm like, why does she smile so much? I'm like, I almost wanted her to stop smiling, like, if I hate to say it, if I were the director, I would have told her, okay, that was good, but smile less,
Mhm.
because, like, you're kind of like, it was off-putting to me. But maybe that's what BC14 wanted, and he asked her to do that, like kept telling him smile, or telling her to smile, because she's supposed to really like this guy or whatever, and that's
Mhm.
how you convey that she likes him. But I'm like, she's telling him no and smiling, and it's very confusing.
So
um
can I just sorry, can I interject my theory here
Sure.
with that? Just with that direct, I wonder if, because it's like the weirdest way to like a man, if as a woman, if you're like newly sober, alone in the woods, a strange man approaches you, starts hitting on you, you'd be like, no, sir, please get the fuck out of here. But then that would like, it makes it so he's not very sympathetic, I guess. So I wonder if they're like, well, there's nothing we can do about this. Is just this scenario makes no sense because there's no way that this woman, so she has to at least kind of look like she's into it. So while she's saying
Okay.
like, get away from me, if she looked really serious, you would be like, oh, this guy is a
Yeah.
bad guy and we need to look
Yeah.
out for him, not like viewing him as the love interest. But really, again, it makes
Maybe.
no, I've just
I,
seen it happen with actors before where it's like, hey, you're being like playing hard to get, but almost playing hard to get too much to where now he seems super
creepy.
creepy when we
Well,
don't want him to seem creepy. We just want it to be this like coy, flirty interaction.
if we don't want him to seem creepy, let's not make him a fucking ex-convict to escape prison and, I mean,
He was like living in an abandoned building. I don't like what was he bringing to the situation for
I don't
her?
know, but apparently she liked it, whatever it was.
She
Yeah,
sure was smiling about it, whatever.
she was so happy and excited with this guy. And yeah, she was smiling. I don't know, it was so weird. But hey,
Agreed.
I mean, love can find anyone, I guess.
Yeah.
But so he gets on his four-wheeler and drives around and like tries to get her on. She's like, no, thank you, whatever. She drives back around, does it again, like stops like literally right in front.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, what in the world? Like, dude, you are trying way too hard. And then she goes on with him. And I'm like, this does not seem real. Like, so
yeah, no, it was a super confusing love interest element there. I thought like if they were gonna add that, it would make more sense if they were like friends from childhood.
okay,
Or some, if there was some element there. But yeah, having like you can tell it was written by a man, sorry, but because of like, I don't think any woman in her right mind would be like, yes, this strange man approaching me in my cabin when I'm alone. Let's get to know this guy. I think we'd just be like, oh my God.
Well, when he first approaches like at night, and everything, and he's like telling who he is, Johnny or whatever. I guess she didn't know that okay, first of all, who was the other guy? Who was he?
Okay, so there's like the uncle,
right? Who is like also in love with this girl.
Who is also, that was so, I'm just so glad that you brought this up because I was like, do I have face blindness? Did they just cast two like kind of plump older gentlemen in these roles? Like, am I missing something? But no, I think you're right. I think that there was an element in this film where her uncle,
not her uncle, Johnny's uncle.
Okay, it was Johnny's uncle.
Yeah, it was Johnny's uncle.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it
was
wasn't her
lost
uncle.
on me.
No. It was Johnny's uncle because like he was talking about like later when Johnny came, they had that little confrontation and everything about it.
Yeah.
And he was telling him you wouldn't turn in your blood, and all this other stuff and whatnot. You ain't no rat, all this other crap. But then like, I mean, he obviously didn't care for his nephew that much,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's like sleeping in an abandoned church, I think that was.
Yeah, if he really, well, he wouldn't harbor a known fugitive, probably. That would probably not be a good idea. But he would at least go visit him or something, or whatever. Yeah. Or if he was like, hey, if Johnny visits you again, instead of bring a gun, told her to bring a gun in case
bring a gun.
I'm like, or you like gave her a gun, or whatever. And I'm just like, really? Like, he would let her kill his nephew? Like,
Yeah.
God, that's a pretty fucked up family. Like, I mean, I understand he's an ex-convict, but don't kill him, call the police.
Yeah,
maybe?
that would probably be my I try not to empower anyone to kill my direct family members.
Right.
But that's just me. That's just me. I'm just one woman, you know. But so there were like many kind of questionable plot elements. To be honest, in a horror movie, I feel like the plot holes don't take me out of it too much. I feel like it becomes some of the fun of it. I play a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons, and like I've done a lot of theater. I exist a lot in the theater of the mind, and suspending my disbelief comes very naturally to me. So I can kind of roll with those things. And I was super like, one thing that really kept me intrigued with this movie was I felt like the cinematography was super interesting. Like it was really dynamic. There was like a lot of angle changing. There was POV. There was beautiful drone shots. I think we went into like a fisheye lens for a while. He just really, like, it was right from the beginning. It kind of had a
cinematic feel
that was jarring in a way that I think lended itself to the genre. Like in that first scene and the opening with this beautiful girl and what is the worst night of her life, without a doubt, right?
Yeah, not just that she almost gets raped, but she almost gets raped, which I was okay. So somebody mentioned something about like, why do rape scenes anymore, right? Because we should be above that by now, because like there's at this rate there's no story that needs to tell that technically, and I agree.
show it.
However, this doesn't go there, because a werewolf attacks Bill Burst Jr. and then kills, I guess, the girl, which was, I believe that was Danielle Lozo, who I'm friends with on Facebook. We used to chat all the time, but we haven't in a while. But I love her. I still, comment and check on her.
Yeah, she was great and beautiful, and that like I said, that's what really cemented me liking this film. I think was getting that excitement and that tension right at the beginning, and then immediately, even though Danielle, you said?
Yes.
Danielle was not our final girl. I still felt, I'm sitting there like screaming at the screen, like, punch him in the dick.
Yeah.
There's this camaraderie that was like immediately established, against these kind of like, not only like the creepy male forces in the movie, which there are plenty of, but the wolf, just like you wanted her to like do something, and building that up is like something that makes me keep paying attention to a movie,
right. Yeah, no, I agree. Like the first opening scene worked really well, and it established like, okay, this is actually going to be a pretty decent movie. The drone shots, I believe, I don't know if they got them, but I know you can actually buy drone shots, like drone, specific things, just, like purchase them, but he may have done them himself or whatever, had them get done himself. So I don't know.
There was the POV, like the red, sometimes they do like a weird filter on it.
That's a typical werewolf thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've seen it in a few werewolf movies where they do red for some reason. I guess maybe they see red. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen, so I don't know if this is too off topic, but I was trying to make a list of the werewolf movies I've seen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only had 5. So I had American Werewolf in London, which I think is the best one that I've seen. Classic. Just in terms of like the transformation. Underworld, which is not a horror movie, but
it's an action horror.
Yeah, lots of like leather clad
I still call it a horror
emos.
film. I call it a horror film because if it has supernatural creatures in it at all, it's a horror film.
Oh,
Whether it's mainly action, like
okay.
the
Yeah.
Mummy. The Mummy's still a horror film, even though Brendan Fraser is just running around and it's barely scary or anything, but it's still a horror film in my
It's
opinion. It's an
it's pretty
action horror.
scary. Yeah, it's like a yeah, comedy horror. Howl, did you see that one?
Yes. Yes, I love
Howl
that.
was good, Ginger Snaps, and then Twilight, which I know we already brought up, but I have to say, I think like Twilight was one of the best transformations. What did you think of the beast, like the creature?
Oh, was great.
Oh, I
You
thought,
know,
yeah,
whoever designed the costume or whatever
Mark Villalobos.
oh, do you okay, you looked that up. All right. I did not. Yeah, that's awesome.
Dude,
You know,
he worked on I had it written down. Where did he worked on Army of Darkness and
nice.
Tales from the Hood. He was a puppeteer for Tales from the Hood. He
That's
did special effects for Army of Darkness and then also did them for Sky High. Do you remember
oh yeah,
it's like
that
a
like
kid's
and had Bruce Campbell in it,
Bill?
you
Oh
know.
my god, it does. I totally forgot about that. Bill Oberst Jr. too. I was like looking through his filmography and he had like a lot of it was like all super horrifying, like scary old man at night, or
Yeah.
like just terrifying movies. And then there was like a slew of kids movies.
Yeah.
It's like that's fun, like the duality within an actor where you're like either a terrifying murderer or like Buddy the talking dog.
Oh, he does like animation
Yeah,
then.
I don't think they could show his face in a child's movie. No offense. Like I said, I'm sure he's a great man. It's just a haunting facade.
He doesn't look like that, honestly. I mean, he doesn't look nearly as terrifying as he did in this movie.
Okay.
They really did make him look worse than because he like they made him look right, like nasty,
Yeah.
and I love that because I mean I at first, I mean, even though I knew that was Bill Oberst Jr., I was almost like, is that him or is that someone else? Because they
Yeah.
did a little bit more makeup on him, but I thought he did a fantastic job, of course. But I mean, like I said, I like him in everything. Like you know, even if I don't like a movie, generally I will still enjoy him in the movie.
Yeah.
So even if
He
he'll do a great job.
he gave a great performance. I thought his performance was absolutely like the strongest performance that really like I was so glad when he spoiler alert, should I say that right
Yeah,
before?
no, yeah,
Okay. Spoiler alert, he's in the beginning and then comes back around in the end, kind of tying everything together.
yeah.
And I was really happy to see him again because like I said, I kind of bonded with that first girl and that like initial incident, and then she's killed off. So it was kind of nice to have like, oh, these people, it wasn't the person I was rooting for, it was the person I was rooting against, but having that like familiarity and like bringing it back to that first
Well, things got
moment was
really
cool.
weird at the end, and I'm not gonna lie, like it confused the fuck out of me. And
Me
I guess we'll
too.
talk about this real quick because it's on my mind. But so he, I guess the whatever Johnny keeps taunting his brother, the Uncle Wayne, was that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Wayne.
so Wayne keeps taunting Wayne, and eventually comes and looks like he's about to attack him, so he shoots him, and thinks he's killed him or whatever. And then he comes back, as a werewolf, and he shoots him like a bunch of times, and then and then he shoots the girl, and that pissed me off because
I
like
didn't
why?
I didn't get that.
Like you don't need to shoot her. She's not
No.
like even if like she
And
ran
then he didn't
away.
shoot her well.
Yeah,
It's like if you're gonna shoot someone, don't
shoot to kill.
God, come on, man.
Yeah, well, he didn't do anything well, and apparently he had fallen off the wagon. He was doing the hard liquor that he said he wasn't going to be doing, and he almost raped her too. Like I'm like, why is every like guy like attempting to rape somebody in this movie? you know.
Yeah. Well, and because there were so many of these motifs with creepy men, I thought that they really were drawing on this like man and beast duality. Not saying like men, but like human
Mm-hmm.
beast duality, that we all have this animalistic, just basal instinct driven beast within us. So I kind of thought that she was going to be the wolf. I thought when she was
Okay.
smiling and saying like no, did you see Promising Young Woman? Promising Young Women.
I've heard of it.
There's like a woman kind of like luring creepy dudes into a situation where then she has the power.
Right.
And I kind of thought that that's what they were doing.
Well, did
Um,
you see? Did you end up watching the end like
yeah,
after the post credits? So you saw that she does sort of come after like somebody at the end or something.
yeah, which was, I liked seeing that. I wish there was more of that, I guess. Then the other lady who came through and was like, "Take me."
She was there for her tits, pretty
Yeah,
much. Like that was
it
like literally
it
that
was
was
appreciated. It was appreciated. It's like a little boob intermission. You're like,
yeah,
you've watched a lot of movies so far, buddy. You
yeah.
deserve a little bit of boob. So
Especially
here
when
you go.
you've seen all the like romantic shit, you know? Like
Yeah.
if a guy is watching it with a girl and he's like, "Oh God, it's like Twilight. Oh my God." And then, okay, that's fine. That's not in Twilight. All right,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
exactly. That
I get
was,
it.
I did, it didn't go well for her though. They very, very rarely do they take and want the willing victim.
Mhm.
She was,
Yeah, she didn't get what was her name? Beatrix or something
yeah,
like that.
she was willing, really the just
But,
thing to do would be to,
but she knew who the girl was, which was weird.
mhm.
And then like I don't know what her connection was to the werewolf at all.
Or
Like
like, how did she end, like,
it sounded like she summoned the werewolf or something, or started the
mhm.
whole thing or something, because she was sounded like she was like part of some kind of cult that just brought this, or whatever. She started some ritual and started this whole thing, because
Yeah.
that's how I thought for a second. I was like, wait, is she like saying that because like she says some weird line about that? I don't know. It was strange. Like that ending confused the fuck out of me. The movie confused me more because I just didn't know what the connection was to like, so Wayne, I guess, owns a cabin,
Mhm.
right? And he let her stay there or something. Was that it? Because
That was, yeah, so that was the arrangement. So that's why I was like, well, because she's calling him at the beginning, I think she calls him Uncle Wayne. That's why I was confused, because I remember like he's introduced as like, maybe it's just like he's called Uncle Wayne. I don't know if that's a common thing that happens, but I swear she references. That's why I was like, wait, is it her uncle? Is it his uncle? Are they cousins? Like,
when I first saw him, I thought he was the worst psychiatrist I'd ever seen, because that's what I thought he was. He was
was, yeah,
talking to her and he was asking her all these questions, like a
about her,
psychiatrist.
yeah, about her like sobriety and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, why would some guy you're like renting a house from who you've never met, like,
And what was she doing there at the, you know?
yeah, I think she was like detoxing or something, or like she was like trying to get away from the hub. She's like getting sober, but
Well,
then it's
how many
like,
months did she have? Did you see on the chip? Did it show on the chip? She put a chip
ooh,
down.
I don't remember.
I thought I looked like 6 months, but I'm not sure. She definitely didn't seem like she was there for she was a year sober or anything.
No, no,
But she
that,
was newly sober. But it could have been less. But maybe 2 months.
and that
Or
was an
something.
interesting element to add in as well. It's like, I don't know. It was, I guess, added just to make the characters a little bigger, a little more fleshed out. That they're people with goals and lives, and
Mm-hmm.
they all have different stuff going on that might not like relate back into the story as a whole, but
But
peppered
worked
in
for that
for,
moment. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah. So
That
because
there's
it
a
did
dive.
it didn't work in its way. Like it wasn't like an allegory for you know addiction or anything, was
No,
it?
that's it. It felt like there were a bunch of like start like the beginning points for super cool things they could have done, but then it ended up being a lot more straightforward than I had anticipated it being,
Right.
which is always funny when you have like the big explaining what's happening scene and it ends up being just like pretty straightforward. It's like do you like the explanation scenes in horror, or would you prefer like there's
Well,
just fucking murder and chaos?
I do when I'm very confused, you know?
Mhm.
Like if a movie is really confusing me at some point, I need somebody to step in and be exposition man. You know, I need
Sure.
somebody to tell me what's going on, but not in a way that's like, like, okay, this is what's going on, and this is what's going on, and this is what's going on. And you know what I mean? Like I,
Hmm.
I don't want somebody like that direct. I want it to be like, them having a natural conversation and somebody say, oh, there's been a pack of wild wolves out, or something,
Yeah,
lately, and, we should better watch out and blah blah blah, that kind of thing.
absolutely.
um or the fact that I would like to explain about the uncle stuff. I don't know even if they worked that out, because obviously he wasn't her uncle, because
No.
he tried
Well,
to, hopefully not.
hopefully not, because that would add a whole lot of other weird, confusing elements
Yeah, also
there.
if Johnny's his uncle, that's all very confusing.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's a
ooh.
whole mess of, confusion. But it I don't know, it's just there was some things like I'm still confused by the dream sequences that they
Mhm.
had in the movie. Like what was, because he supposedly he explained, oh, now you understand the dreams. And I'm like,
But
wait, you
what
understand the
do
dreams?
you?
I don't understand the dreams. Like, what is going on here? Why is she having these dreams? And what does it mean?
Yeah.
What did
Uh,
you take out of that?
um, him being like, now you know, like what does she know? So again, I thought that there was this kind of like man and beast thing where like it was going to tie in with like her basal instinct to like drink or do
He does
something
drink,
or
which I
or
thought, wow, you're gonna die. You're gonna
and
get
then
killed.
this is your, yeah, so I thought that it would have some sort of like play on like I don't know, controlling your beast, using your beast for you, or but that was not like the direction that it was
Yeah.
going. I don't know. Like I said, I felt like there were a lot of good, like I was thinking in my head like, oh, this is going to end up being like her empowerment, and I guess we kind of do end up with her like taking a stand at the end there, but
Yeah. I want to read what some of the reviews were that gave it the low score, because I want to see if they were confused too by a lot of
sure.
this stuff. And maybe some of what they say will be like, okay,
So, but it was like I felt like all of the elements were there. So when I said I think it deserves more than a 2, I think that the cinematography was really interesting. I think that it was well done and they didn't cut corners with the production of making it. I thought that like the sets were good, the people looked good, they chose good actors.
mhm.
There were small problems with like sound and
Yes, that was what
plot, but like one of my favorite horror movies is Pieces, which I don't know if you've ever seen
I,
that,
I
but
actually own it, but never seen it. It's just one of those
oh,
I'm gonna
oh,
watch
you have
eventually.
to watch it. It's the it has ADR. It's just comically bad. The music, Trevin Pinto did the music, and I love what he composed for that. I thought that
I
it,
thought BC14 did that originally, and then I looked and I was like, oh, there actually is a composer. Okay.
yeah, and he collaborates with that guy Trevin Pinto a lot. But I like at first we were, because it has this almost like Halloween, this like rhythmic dunk, dunk, dunk,
Yeah.
dunk, which really, it does really build tension. Initially, I was thinking they were gonna play like Dolly Parton 9 to 5, like the beginning was there, but then I was like, oh, actually, if the tension built by just keeping these like rhythmic keys
Right.
in these moments of tension. It was like you're waiting for that drop. You're waiting for it to pick up and add other elements, and that kind of like that definitely built the tension for me in moments where, again, there were sometimes I felt a little bored. I felt a little like this is very plot heavy, but it's not like the plot I want. I want more like I want to see the beast more, and I want to see more
Right.
murders.
Yeah, I do too. Honestly, I like you said, the first like 30, like pretty much 30 minutes of the movie is them talking and hanging out and
And setting up things that like weren't all like needing to be tied up, or yeah, it was I
or
think it was
sometimes
like
not
a
tied up at all. Like
at all. Yeah, I thought it
um,
was like a weird like the script might have been a little unbalanced just with like the plot stuff at the beginning, but I personally would have said at least like a 4.
yeah. Well, out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, so
Oh no.
we have a thing
Huh?
called the stinkometer that we do, which so 1 to 10, 1 being good and 10 being stinky.
Stinky. Okay.
What would you have rated that on that? Like, and then you could do like a 0.5, like, if you feel like it's a 6.5 or something, or whatever.
Well, I almost want to say like 5.5, but I don't know if that's cheating because, like I said, I mean, it's very even, middle of the road. I'm being very diplomatic about this.
Well, I
5,
kind
but
of get
then
it.
giving it the 0.5 to kind of kick it towards like
More stinky
stinky, a little
than it
more
is better
stinky.
than. Well, because like 5 is generally like meh, like you're like
Okay, then
like that.
let's say 6.5 actually.
Okay,
Let's say
6.5. Okay.
6.5.
I probably would give about the same too, 6.5, because I think but this person gave it a 1 star, review out of 10. Not on our stinkometer, but on the IMDb-ometer. He said boring, poorly acted, plot hole galore with werewolves. And he goes, where do I begin? First scene appears to have nothing to do with the rest of the story, which is not true.
Not
Appears.
true.
This appears to have, right? The main character is a recovering alcoholic and brings it up every fucking chance she gets.
Have you ever met? I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm recovering alcoholic, so I get it.
No, my God, me too.
Oh, okay. 9 years sober. So, dad's friend is creepy. What dad's friend? See, this person didn't watch the movie necessarily.
No, but this is the uncle debacle. So was it her dad's friend? So that's maybe that's what she calls him. That would actually make sense because there's people who you're like, oh, you're like my aunt, but you're not really my aunt. I think they probably
said that too, and we missed that. It's like
right.
The part where he's just like, he's like, they say something about, my dad would have blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, absolutely.
One little line.
Okay.
Dad's friend is creepy, not just because his acting skills aren't there or because he has creepy lines to read. Turns out he's just a complete creep, obviously. I'm reading just word for word what this person's saying. There's a conversation about what to watch on TV because the main character doesn't have reception stuff up yet. The wolf looks more like a bat than a wolf.
I agree.
I kind of agree too.
Oh, I said that multiple times throughout the. I think
the bat wolf.
But it was still super creepy, and it was so man-like. Like at one point, the wolf goes for a knife. Did you see that? They're like struggling on the ground, and the wolf is like trying to reach for the knife as well.
No, I don't. Well, wait, what? So
I think they're like, it's like they bust out of the door and they're like struggling on the ground. And he's just very like, it's very more man-like than wolf-like, which I think is super creepy to like, to be in like the big wolf body and instead of having like animal mannerisms, having man mannerisms.
Yeah, man.
Horrifying, super creepy, effective as hell.
But has anybody ever done Werebat yet?
Ooh.
I would watch that. All right.
Well, wait, isn't a werebat just a vampire?
really, because like that's a vampire bat, right? Like,
So it has to be like a man-sized bat, like
yeah,
a humanoid bat.
yeah,
Okay,
that you turn into,
okay,
from,
yeah.
that'd be interesting. Somebody could do that. Um, the main character falls for an escaped convict after meeting him twice or less. After creepy dad's old friend has given her a fucking gun to protect herself from said escaped convict. And her response, wanna come stay at my place?
Hmm.
Actually,
No
it's
notes.
like,
No notes. All of that was true.
and then the werewolf shows up and mauls the escaped convict, and she finds him barely alive, seriously wounded, and her reaction is to take him to her place, which has been repeatedly established to not have a phone nor a cell reception. Instead of, I don't know, getting in the Range Rover and phoning an ambulance.
I
Um,
also love how in that moment he's like the makeup effects were really good in this as well.
yeah,
I don't know. I know that Mark Villa Lobos did the creature, but I don't think I saw who did the special effects. They were good. And when he was messed up by that werewolf, he had these scratches. He's looking just terrible. And she's like, "Did you get attacked by a coyote?" And it's like, "What? A bear, maybe, but like
like a wolf,
a
yeah.
coyote?"
Yeah, that no. A coyote wouldn't like, and he even says later, like, or he says like, a wolf and a big one, like at that or
Yeah,
whatever.
and like a coyote is smaller than a wolf, it
Yeah, a
just
coyote would not have scratched him
come
that
into
bad.
your house.
Especially when she finds him, she sees like the door, like,
Literally.
yeah. I don't blame
I
the
was like,
actress at all.
I
I
would
don't.
have, no,
Go,
yeah,
go ahead.
totally. I know,
Yeah.
I would have believed bear. If she would have said, was it a bear? I would have been like, that's a valid concern to have. But the coyote was not a valid concern. And I
No.
agree, not her fault.
Not our fault. Like, none of this stuff is ever the actor's fault. We have to understand, like, especially in the indie scene, directors have to take a lot of crap for a lot of stuff they do, especially if they write it. And BC14 wrote and directed the film, so he has got to understand that when you have a scene like that, you can't you have to figure out a way, even if it sounded great in the script, right? Like
Mhm.
Coyote, because she heard Coyote before, I mean, she could have said bear, and that would have made more sense when they saw the scratches. It's not like,
Yeah.
unless the scratches and that's him in that scene was in a completely different day, or something. You know what I
She
mean?
never even saw him
She never
dressed up.
saw
Yeah.
him dressed up like that. I don't know. Magic of movie making. But anyway, to finish this off, it just doesn't get better at any point. The dialogue is shitty enough that it's delivered without any feeling and reality involved. It's dry, held back. The whole thing is awkward as all hell. All
I'm
right.
so sorry. It's like this is a mean thing to say. It's an honest thing. This is this person's truth and they are living it, but it just never got better. If
It,
I were BC14, I would put that quote on a t-shirt.
it just never got better.
It just
Yeah, and then had to do like the Werewolf Rising thing. It just never got better.
Werewolf Rising 2014.
Man, that's funny. But yeah, that apparently, they have. There's a couple reviews that talk about the sound. I'd love to see ones that actually make sense of much of the stuff that we didn't make any sense out of. I don't know. Maybe like if you people that are watching this have seen this movie, hopefully you have, because if you haven't, you're watching this, then you probably heard the whole movie. But leave a comment below and let us know what if we missed anything, like if there was something that we totally just didn't get, because there were things I just very confused about. So I'm still confused to dreams. Don't know what that was about, what connection that she had to the escaped convict guy, like
Yeah.
like she I mean, did they know each other?
So if it's her dad's friend and he's that guy's uncle,
Right.
then at some point they probably met when they were like kids or something. But that's a lot of
No,
deduction.
I'm
We're
talking about
having to
Bill
work.
O'Burst. I'm talking about Bill O'Burst
Oh,
Jr. though,
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
he was in the dreams. He was the one in
Yeah.
the
And
dreams.
how would she
How would
know?
she know him? Like, what connection does she have to him?
Oh, yeah.
Because, and then remember, he was the one saying, he was the one actually like telling her, you know, like knowing her name when nobody else said it, you know, and he knew her dreams, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. So, and like, what, you know, like, because she said she's been having these dreams before, you know, when she's on the phone, she was like, yeah, the dreams are still there.
Dreams are,
They're not as
yeah.
bad as they were, you know, before. And I'm like thinking, so she's had that same dream before. So she
Mm-hmm.
knew that she'd be attacked in the woods, and her first idea is to go
To
out
go to the
to the
woods.
woods, you know, like, even if it's a dream, you know, and everything, like, still, like, I'm sorry, I had this like really nasty reoccurring dream that I was being attacked by a werewolf in the woods or something, I would probably not go in the woods for a while.
Yeah, if it's over, one time you let it slide.
Yeah.
After one dream you let it slide. Months of, you
Dreams like
know,
this, yeah, then you're like,
and
yep.
maybe the implication there is that she drank to dull down the dreams, and
Maybe.
then she got sober, so like the dreams are coming back, or maybe because she stopped drinking the dreams aren't as bad. That was another element that I like, including the alcoholism, just to like have her like relapse.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that was like a weird choice to me,
Well,
but
no, like, especially at like when she's literally being hunted at that particular time. Getting drunk is
mm.
probably the worst idea. Like,
Oh yeah,
even for an alcoholic, you
just gets your
know,
blood nice and thin, gets you
yeah,
making bad decisions.
or just gets you loopy, and then you're just like out there and you just get killed, you
Hmm.
know. So it's so strange. It was a bad idea, but whatever, you know. She made that decision. She died, and or not died, she got attacked and dragged through the woods or whatever, or ran
Yeah.
through the woods, and end up meeting the Beatrix lady, who it looked like they're having two different conversations with each other, because like
Mate.
she was like talking, and then Beatrix was talking about her and everything, and
Hmm.
she was like, but we need to go, and she's like still talking, and I would have been like, I'm not listening to you, like, I'm going.
I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going. If you want to
Yeah,
come with
like,
me.
why did she stand there, just sit there and like listen to this lady like rant before she got naked? I don't get it, but it happened. That scene happened, and I'm like, that's only in the mind of BC-14.
Oh
Like
yeah, that
that.
there's some secrets that we will just never be privy to, and that's the mystery of Werewolf Rising.
Yeah,
It's
so after this, he had done a movie called New Terminal Hotel, and that looked at, it's actually, I think, on Tubi as well, and it looks decent. So it's got a good cast. It's got like Tiffany Shepis and a couple other people, and I might do that eventually for Indie Film Cafe to review. Um, but this and that actually seem like way better than his stuff he's doing now. So hopefully he gets off his butt and starts shooting like Werewolf Rising 2, you know,
yeah,
so he can
totally.
find out what the fuck's going
Or
on.
just redo it. Just do it over.
Or just
Do the
do a
same
vampire
movie,
movie or
make it
something.
make more sense. Yeah.
Make it a vampire rising. I don't care. Just do something fun that, you know, is actually good.
Yeah,
Um,
I would definitely watch more movies from this guy. BC-14 seems to have a super funky mind, and I'm down to go along for the ride.
I looked him up and I found a lot of information. If you dig around, you'll find a lot of stuff about him. But he just, like, he has like a bunch of names. Those aren't even his real name. I don't think he's ever said his real name
name.
on,
Yeah.
probably because he might do a real job that he doesn't want, getting back
Sure.
to him. Maybe he works for the government and just doesn't want, that's how he's got the money to pay for all this, stuff or whatever. I
It's
don't know.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe that's why people wanted to work with him. But like Bill O'Burst Jr. But
Yeah,
yeah,
what a get. What a get. Watch
I
it
know.
just for Bill Oberst Jr.
I know he steals the show.
He was great. I thought he was really effective and super fucking creepy.
Yeah, I mean, you thought like that's just what he looks like every day and
I
everything. And I'm
did.
like,
And
nope, he looks creepier in this
I
movie than ever.
made a point to make sure to say, like, I'm sure that he's a nice man because I knew I was just going to be like, I think this might effectively be cyberbullying Bill Oberst Jr. And I'm sorry, Bill. I really am. It's not your fault. I'm sure
Oh
you're a
no, he
very,
probably
very
takes
nice
this.
man.
He probably takes that as a
It's,
complete compliment.
yeah, it's just like if
Yeah.
you were behind me at Starbucks and I turned around, I definitely you'd get a
Yeah. I'm sure he does not. He does not. He probably hears that all the time about his movies because he does play some really scary kind of characters and stuff.
right?
But he has to because he's Bill Burst Jr. and that's what people expect from him. So he would be. He'd be really good to get if anybody out there wants to cast Bill Burst Jr. Feel free.
Yes.
Aside from that, I think that's pretty much it. So. Thank you, Molly, for coming on the show and chatting with me about this. This is your first time, but I'm sure this won't be your last time on one of my shows and stuff.
Yeah, I have my own I'm in Slash Lorette Party on Tubi, and I have House That Eats Flesh coming out, and I just co-wrote an indie horror film, and we filmed it, and it's really good, and I'm super excited for that to drop.
Can you say what that is?
That's Late Checkout, baby.
Late Checkout. All right.
Late
from the
Checkout
director of House That Eats Flesh.
Yeah, Josh Graves, absolutely. He's one of my favorite people to work with, and we have some really fun stuff cooking up. So I'm sure we'll discuss. You like indie film, I like indie film.
Yeah,
we'll rendezvous again.
Yes, of course.
I'll meet you at a creepy cabin in the woods. I'll bring my 4-wheeler. I have recently escaped from prison. I hope that's not a big deal.
It wasn't for that girl, at all. I think she likes bad boys, apparently, I guess. Yeah. She was really like happy with them. Though she smiled so fucking much that it just drove me nuts.
She's like, get away from me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. See, it sort of became that way after a while because it was almost like a fake smile sometimes. And I was just like, I'm telling you, BC-14 just kept telling them to do it, or she did that on her own. And BC was like, great. I love it.
Yeah.
This is exactly what this movie needs. Like, I would have loved to be like a fly in the wall on one of his films. Like, what he does, So BC-14, if you want me on set, just to check it out and be production assistant, I'll do it. So once again, thank you, Molly.
Thank you.
You are definitely welcome back. And everybody else, join us tomorrow for a brand new episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. Bye.